Welcome, everyone, to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. Thank you so much for listening. Let me tell you right off the bat, I'm under the weather. My voice is not as shot as it was the day before, but even taping today, I'm not in great shape. So just bear with the voice, and if you hear any coughing or throat clearing, I apologize in advance, but did not want to cancel this week's show because I have Kirk Herbstreit, who I did not have on at all last year during the college football and NFL seasons. And obviously Kirk is a major player with his presence on College Gameday, ESPN's lead college football analyst, and then Thursday Night Football with Al Michaels on Amazon. So bear with the gravelly voice and the noises so you can hear Kirk Herbstreit. Great interview with Kirk about his two jobs, about state of college football, doing both gigs, what his schedule's like, working with Al Michaels, bunch of topics with Kirk. And then, of course, Sal Licata joins me for our Traina Thoughts segment. Heavy gambling talk on this segment. Not picks or anything like that, but just talking about gambling in general. Before we get to it, if you missed it last week, great episode with Chris Mad Dog Russo from SiriusXM and First Take. A lot of feedback on that podcast. Appreciate everyone who reached out. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. So if you missed it, listen to the Mad Dog on the pod last week. Make sure you subscribe to SI Media with Jimmy Traina and leave a review on Apple. All right. Enough of this voice. Hopefully you guys can bear with me and enjoy the episode. Kirk Herbstreit from ESPN and Amazon Prime, followed by Sal Licata and Traina Thoughts. All right here, right now on SI Media with Jimmy Traina. All right, joining me now. Very happy to have him. I screwed up last year. Never had him on during the college and NFL season. I figured let's make sure that doesn't happen again. So here we are with the college football season. So we have on one of the stalwarts of ESPN College Gameday, ESPN's lead college football analyst, and of course, Thursday Night Football on Amazon with the legendary Al Michaels. He is Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I'm ready for football. Thank God it's finally here.
No doubt. Now, I'm ready. It's that time.
Now, game day is going to be in Dublin for Florida State, Georgia Tech, but you're not doing the game?
No, I'm just college game day.
How come you're not doing that game?
I don't know. I don't know. They're just having me go and do game day. You know, I think Tess. I'm not sure. Is it Tess and Jesse might be doing the game? I'm not sure.
What was it, McDonough and? I just remember being surprised it wasn't you since you're there for game day.
The tough thing is, I'm glad. I think it's great that game day's going there. Would have loved to call the game. My problem is the following week is a really week one's a pretty good grind. I have college game day for 3 hours, Texas A&M, Notre Dame that night. Right after that game, I fly to Las Vegas. So get in around 3 a.m. East Coast time, and then I got to call LSU USC that night. So that's a lot on the back end. So maybe it had something to do with that. I'm not sure. But I'm looking forward to going. I've never been.
And I saw this is the first time game day is going to be outside of the country, which I found shocking when I heard that. I would have thought somewhere along the line you guys would have been.
No, this is the first time. In 20, I think we were scheduled to go to Ireland for Navy and Notre Dame. And obviously COVID hit, and that eliminated that trip. So I guess you could say it's been in the works for a few years, but finally we get an opportunity to go over there. I wish I had more time. I've got a Thursday night game with Amazon with the Bengals Colts. So doing a lot of preparation for that game. Yeah. And then I was going to go try to make it a 3 or 4 or 5 day kind of thing. But now I'm leaving on Friday. I actually land at 8 a.m. Saturday. So you lose the 5 hours. I land at 8 a.m. Saturday morning. And of course the show I think is at 2 o'clock, I think that afternoon local time, 9 a.m. to 12, Eastern time. But I land at the morning of the show. So
I was thinking about that when I was preparing for this. I'm like, wait, it's interesting that Kirk's doing this on a Wednesday when Game days. I'm like, when is he flying to Ireland? That's not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I
not
would have
flying to
probably
South
gone.
Bend.
I think everybody's gone, like you should do. They all
Yeah.
left Monday or Tuesday, and they're over there. I think a lot of them took their families and they're enjoying a, once in a lifetime trip for the show.
Yeah.
So I wish I could have joined everybody, but I've got I just left a meeting with Al and Kaylee and our production team with Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals. Came back here to do this with you, and then I got to head back to the hotel where everybody is to do a film session for a couple hours.
Well, I appreciate you squeezing me in, and
Yeah.
we'll get to a bunch of college football topics. I want to just start with this. This is year 3 now of you doing the college football, which you've always done, and added Prime on Thursdays with Al. Did it take a little while to get used to? Is there anything you can do to lessen the grind, or it's going to be a grind no matter what? What lessons have you learned in doing both now that you go into year 3?
Yeah, it's a great question. First year, because I was first time doing the NFL and because I'm working with Al Michaels and because I always want to do a good job. And my thing has always been kind of over prepare. I think I did too much. I took away some of the joy of the job. Um, I was knee deep in film and on the phone with coordinators, offensive, defensive coordinators. It was just prep, prep, prep. So I would get on site and I would go to the home team. We would go to meetings and go to practice, and I'd leave that. I'd go right back. This is year 1. I'd go right back to my hotel, and I would be in my hotel just consuming information. And the crew, Al and everybody, they would go to dinner, and I would be like, man, I can't go to dinner. I'm trying to get a hold of Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator from the Colts, and so it was a lot, and it took away. I got through it, but I think it took a lot away a lot of this job's very, very fun, and I was overly prepared, and I was not using, but it gave me security and feeling good. So I guess it's what I needed. So last year I pulled back on that. Still obviously prepared, but I would go to dinner. I made a point of going to dinner every Wednesday night with Al and Kaylee and our team, and just try to get to know everybody as people, not just, I'm sitting next to Al Michaels, a legendary play-by-play man, one of the greatest to ever do it. I got to know Al as Al, and I met his wife Linda, and met his kids and his grandkids, and that's what I like to do. That's what I've always done on game day. That's kind of who I am, and I think it really affects the chemistry of a show, no matter what you're doing or any job or employment that you have. I think when you get to know people as people, it really can help. So yeah, so I keep the silos separate. Thursday night football is one silo, 3-hour college game day is its own silo, and then Saturday night with Chris Fowler is its own silo. And I just try to keep those separate as I prepare throughout the week and try to enjoy it.
So Saturday's a heavy day. You have game day, and then you do the game. This year you probably end up with a lot of 3:30 games with ESPN now having the SEC package. Might not always have that 8 o'clock game, and then you have the Thursday. What day of the week do you get tired?
Well, I think I get tired because, just real quick, Monday and Tuesday are prep days from my house. And like I said, I'm on the phone with producers and NFL teams and the visiting team. A lot of times we do the Zoom stuff on Tuesday. I'm trying to chase the coordinators down individually. I love to talk to those guys. It's a lot of just chasing things down, working pretty much from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. That's Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, I travel. So I go to the home site. And again, you go to the home site, you go to their local facility, you go to practice, you sit down with the head coach, the quarterback, defensive player. So that's all on Wednesday. A lot of times I'm returning calls to the producer, Jimmy Gairo, from game day to give him what film I want for, let's say it's Michigan, Texas, or whatever game, that we're breaking down. So I'm trying to prepare for that as well on Wednesday. Thursday is on site, more preparation for the Thursday night game. Also looking at the Saturday night game as well. I call the game Thursday night. As soon as the game's over, I fly to College Game Day. I'm there Friday morning. I do production meetings in the morning, tape a couple Sports Center hits. I fly back to Cincinnati where my son plays high school football. I don't miss a game. I go to his game no matter where game day is. I fly back, go to his game, win or lose, try to stay there, give him a hug after the game, fly back to game day, do game day the next morning for 3 hours. Often I'll fly to another location. Hopefully this year it's in a lot of the same spots, but I'm sure it'll be out of 15 weeks, 10, same spot, 5, maybe you travel around. And then I call the game Saturday night and then I fly home and I get home at usually 2 or 3 in the morning. And then the reason I tell you all that is Sunday in the past, before I did TNF, Sunday was my day to just kind of like be comatose and watch some NFL and doze off on the couch. And now if, I have Cowboys Giants the next week, I'm watching whoever Dallas is playing this Sunday and whoever the Giants are playing. So Sunday has now been eliminated from a rest day to kind of a screening day and a prep day.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And it's never complaining. I love it. But it is a lot when you do that from late August into early January.
Tell me about working with Al, because I've been very, very lucky over the years just because of doing this to get to know Al, the real Al, not the one you see on TV is the real Al, but there's the Away from TV Al, which is really an all-time character in this business. And I know a lot of the people listening to this love Al. What has it been like for you to get to know him and work with him the last couple of years?
Well, think about it. My 4 play-by-play people that I've worked with in my career, I came up in the late 90s with Mike Tirico. I worked with him for about 7 or 8 years, still a great friend of mine. I went from Mike Tirico to Brent Musburger. I worked with Brent Musburger from 06 to 13. That was an incredible experience because, like you, I mean, I grew up watching Brent. And I went from him to Chris Fowler, who I had the game day relationship with. And I started calling games with him in 14. So now about 10 years of doing that with Chris and really comfortable and just at ease with him. And then I started to work with Al Michaels 3 years ago. And so those are my 4 guys that I've worked with. I consider that incredible badge of honor to be able to work with 4 of the greatest to do it. And so I've been very spoiled, but they're all different, like their personalities are different, their rhythm and cadence. And so with Al and I, like I said, the first year it was more of just trying to learn. It's almost like Dancing with the Stars where you're learning how to dance with a new partner. I thought he was done with his thought. So I start and it was just a pause. And then he would start another thought. And a few times I was thinking he was done because that's what I was used to with Fowler. And so, just kind of working your way through that. And then I get to know him a lot better in year 2. And man, he is an unbelievable guy. I just, again, it's just fresh in my mind. I just left him. It's the first time I've seen him since our last game. And it's just like, seeing a relative, really. I mean, he is fun. I mean, you talk about storytelling. We'll go to dinner tonight. We'll go to Jeff Ruby's steakhouse, and we're all just kind of sitting around listening to Al. He'll tell stories. I'm sure he and his family took a trip over to Paris for the Olympics and went over into Italy. And you just sit there. He's just one of those guys that just has so many thoughts and so many great stories. And he's, for a guy that's older, he's very, very quick with this. He knows anything and everything that's going on in the internet world. He's very dialed into that space. So he's been just an absolute treat beyond being Al Michaels, the great, do you believe in miracles and all the Olympics and World Series and Super Bowls? Just a great guy, just a great partner. And somebody I've been very, very fortunate to work with here these last 3 years.
I'm not sure being dialed into the internet. I mean, I tell every single play-by-play person who comes on, like, do not go on the internet.
Yeah,
But
right.
I thought
Yeah.
Al. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I'm fully biased, but I thought Al took a lot of unfair shit last year, and I
Yeah.
thought it was a lot of pile on. I
Yeah.
don't think half the people criticizing him believe what they were saying. I think it became a complete pile on thing, which is one of
Well,
the.
I think it was, I agree. And I think it started where people, I didn't work with him the previous year. They did a playoff game and
With
Tony
Tony
did.
Dungy, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the Jacksonville game and the
Yeah.
Chargers, and it was almost it was he was out of his rhythm with me, who he did 17 games with, and then he worked with Tony. He doesn't work a lot with, they're good friends, but he doesn't work a lot with him. So just to take that and then to just kind of run with it. No one ever said that in the 16 or 17 games that he and I worked with. They kind of laughed at us being like, man, some of these games, but
Right,
there was
right.
nothing about him, and I thought last year, when you're doing a game, a lot of times your voice and your energy is reflective of the game and the stadium and the atmosphere. And so if you're doing a game that's 7-3 in the fourth quarter and you're just jonesing for a first down or a completion, what are you supposed to do?
Right,
And
right.
so, I think I applaud him in this era of, I think a lot of play-by-play guys, because I've watched this and studied this my whole life. I think we're in an era right now with play-by-play, some folks that I think they call games and call plays where they're trying to get on social media. Like they really want to make a call to try to really go to another level. I'm a Reds fan, and the Reds guys, like if Ellie De La Cruz does something, it's just to the
Hmm.
to the next level, which is exciting. But to me, I think when it warrants it, what I love about Al is when it warrants it, boy, he's gonna hit you with it,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. I thought a lot of that was kind of, I think piling on is
Yeah.
probably the best
Yeah.
term.
And you make a great point. I mean, listen, I love Al. I love Al. But I'll be the first to say that playoff game he did with Tony Dungy was not a good broadcast. Now, how you want to parcel out the blame, that's a whole separate
Yeah.
story. But that had nothing to do with any of his performances last year. So I think you
No.
really make an excellent point in bringing that up. All right, let's go to college. Let me get your take on this, because there's no more important voice in college football than you. I'm here in New York my whole life, where college football is not really that big of a thing. So that could play into this theory and question that I have for you. I love Saturdays, and I love watching college football. I love game day. I love watching Lee Corso put on that helmet, getting the crowd all worked up. I sit in front of the TV from noon to midnight, and I watch every game, and I love it. Putting that aside, I feel like the sport is such a mess right now
Mhm.
from these standpoints. It has nothing to do with NIL, because I couldn't care less about that. I don't even understand what the playoff situation is with the seeding, the brackets. It's so confusing, I feel like. I don't know which teams are in which conference. There's a conference with 2 teams in it. Now, I don't care about any of that stuff, because when I'm watching the games, that's the entertainment. That's what I care about. But I feel like the sport has so many problems right now. Is that a ridiculous statement? Would you agree? Am I being unfair? What's your take on the state of college football?
Well, I have a lot of friends that live in the East Coast, and they don't have the same appreciation probably that I have for college football, because they're into the Mets or the Yankees, the Red Sox or the Celtics or whatever it is. And um, I get that, and I get if you're, because I'm a sports fan. Like I love all sports, but I'll
Right.
be honest, like I'm a little bit like golf. I love to watch golf, especially when Tiger was playing in his prime. But I watch the majors.
Right.
That's kind of where I am. Grand slams in tennis, love Fowler, but I'm
Hmm.
kind of the Grand Slam guy. If
Right. Right.
Wimbledon's on, man, I'm dialed in. I love it. So I think college football fans, there are people out there that kind of, hey, if Ohio State's playing Michigan or it's a big game, I'll kind of tune in. Otherwise, what the hell's going on with that sport anyway? So I get that. I would just tell you that in the last 2 to 3 years, I think there's been more change and more stuff that guy that follows it and lives it for the last 30 years, maybe longer, every day of my life. There's been more change in the last 3 years than the previous 150 years.
Right, right.
So I get if you're a Fringe fan, like the hell with the rest of all that. I just want to give me a good game and I'll tune in. I don't know if I don't think we're done with the change. I think we're still going to see, there's Florida State who's in the ACC is suing the ACC. They're trying to get out of the ACC. Right. There's a lot of talk that Florida State and Clemson and others from the ACC potentially could be in other conferences in another year or two. And what will that do to the ACC? Will there still be an ACC? We've already saw the Pac-12, which used to be the Pac-10 and the Pac-8, has so much history. It's basically been dissolved, even though as you referred to, Oregon State, Washington State are still technically there. You wonder if the Mountain West will eventually become, the Pac-12. So I get it. It's fair criticism. You kind of poo-pooed the NIL, but I think there are a lot of people who look at the NIL. Me personally, if you go by name, image, and likeness, like a J.J. McCarthy last year at Michigan, if he could create a bunch of money, or Caleb Williams can create millions of dollars off of his name, image, and likeness, I think a lot of people in college football who are traditionalists are like, that's kind of the new world we're in.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
But the collectives, which is for people that don't know, that's each university has alumni that basically give money to a collective. That collective takes in 10, 12, 14, $20 million. And then they go to high school football players and bribe them to come play for their school. So if Ohio State or LSU or A&M or Alabama all want this one kid, basically whoever the biggest bidder is sometimes gets the player. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Or if there's an All-American at a smaller college, let's say Miami of Ohio or Bowling Green, and he's a great player, Alabama or somebody's going to come in and say, hey, you had a great year. We need a left guard. We'll give you this. Like, to me, that part of the game is awful. It's basically allowing alumni to pay for championships. It makes no sense to me. Yeah. But a player individually being able to create a brand for himself, go for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, when I said that about the NIL, I meant like it's so dirty I can't even pay attention to it.
Yeah. Sort of. And there's no rules. The NFL, there are rules with free agency. Right. There are rules with everything. And college football, there's really no rules. You can go do whatever you want to do.
Now tell me, I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I think everyone's happy with the expanded playoff.
Yeah, I think so.
Tell me how you think, though, that's going to affect regular season games.
Great point.
Michigan plays Ohio State. Man, what used to be on the line, not really on the line now. No,
I'm with you, man. I mean, when we talked about Ohio State, Michigan last year, I kind of said on the show, I was like, this is really the last time that this game has everything on the line. Winner take all, loser go home. And now this year, if Ohio State has a big year, the way everyone's expecting, and I think Michigan's going to be a very good team, even though they lost a lot. Let's say Ohio State's 11-0 and Michigan's 10-1 when they play. You would think, boy, Michigan better win or they're out. But I think Michigan can still lose or Ohio State can lose, and they're both going to be in the playoff.
Right.
Not only that, they no longer have divisions. So chances are they might play next week in Indianapolis in a Big Ten championship game.
Right.
So think about that. Like, forget the playoff. What if Ohio State and Michigan play late November and then a week later, early December? So that's a very fair point. What about Alabama, Auburn? So does it take away from the importance of the regular season? I'm a college basketball. I used to be a junkie. I loved watching. Could be Kansas. It could be Syracuse, Georgetown, anybody. But it's like the regular season means nothing. Like, who cares who wins?
And it's interesting because the bowl season ended up meaning nothing with all the players skipping the bowl games. At least now, I guess, for those playoff games, no one's going to skip those. So
you would think. Never know. The world we live in today.
You imagine?
Can you imagine? One thing NIL has done a good job of, it has paid these players and giving them incentive that instead of like, well, if you're a first rounder, it's obvious, but if you're like, you get feedback, you're second, third, fourth rounder, it's like, do I want to go and roll the dice and go into that world? Or do I want to play at my school where they're going to pay me X amount of dollars? So I think that's one good thing about it. They are about to do rev share too, where a percentage of the money that ESPN and Fox and NBC all pay in, that's always gone to the conferences and the schools. They're about to come up with a new way of kind of giving the players their share. I listen, man, I have no idea where this thing goes. It feels like the NFL. It feels like you need a CBA, like a collective bargaining agreement, where the big conferences negotiate with somebody who represents the players, and you go over NIL and rev share and whatever to avoid the antitrust laws. I just feel like they need some kind of contract where we all understand, here are the rules of engagement, and off we go. I think we'll eventually probably get there, would be my guess, but when that'll be, I have no idea.
With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. And how refreshing is that? With the fees and taxes that we all get hit with in our cell phone bills, it adds up, and you don't know what you're paying for. But that's not the case with Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/SI Media. That's mintmobile.com/SI Media. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/SI Media. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes and fees and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's talk game day here for a little bit. It's still beloved, and it's gone on for so long. Why do you think it still means so much to so many college football fans?
I'm going to say this is my 29th year doing the show. I've just like society changes, television changes. You talk to people who are in this industry quite often. I feel like for 10 years, if not longer, we are in the hot take world. Again, who can get on social media, who can be viral with a crazy take. And I can only speak for myself. Pat McAfee has brought a lot of energy and a lot of crazy moments to the show. He's one of the greatest teammates I've ever had. He prepares his ass off on this show. He really takes almost deferential to the show, what it's meant to the sport, being in an NFL locker room, what it means to NFL players who on Saturday or a lot of times at their facility. And he's like, it's on in every facility. So he sees it through a lens that I don't. Like, he has such respect for Lee Corso and the show. So people need to know that when they see him, and he's a character and he's fun. It doesn't mean he's a wild, loose cannon. He's the opposite of that. So he's very respectful of the show. But we try to make this is my opinion. We try to make our show about the storylines on the field, the coaches and the players, and who's ranked and what are the big games. And we give you some XO on that. And we don't take ourselves too seriously. We're very self-deprecating. We celebrate. It's a Saturday morning and people are tailgating all over the country anymore. A lot of people have their DirecTV next to their RV and they're tailgating with Gameday on. Like, I see them when we travel into Athens, Georgia, or Ann Arbor, and we're pulling into a meeting. They already got their tent set up, their DirecTV on, and ESPN on. They're like, Herbie, what's up? I feel like it's a microcosm of what people in Austin, Texas, and Tallahassee and Ann Arbor, all over. And we try to just be that, And again, we try not to make it about us. We try to make it about the show, about the sport, and we try to celebrate the sport. And I feel like Lee Corso always says, we are in the entertainment business and football is our vehicle. And I think that's kind of like our team motto. And that's what we try to do, every single week, no matter where we are.
Corso's coming back this year, correct?
He is 89 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been interesting to me as an observer, because it does look like you really do love McAfee. It seems like you guys have really bonded, and again, I don't know you guys personally, but it does seem like it's a little bit of I've always thought of you as a little more tame, not outlandish. Pat is outlandish, so it's interesting that you guys have bonded so well together.
And I think it's a great point. I think the reason is how I've going back to me and Al, trying to get to know Al. Like, I didn't know Pat.
Right.
I never met Pat. I started to go on his podcast before he was on ESPN. Had a lot of fun with him. Then I got to start to go to dinner with him, and I just realized there's so much more to him than wearing a tank top and standing on top of a chair and yelling. Like at the end of the day, Pat McAfee is about celebrating sports. Like that's really what he's about. I know there's been some controversial moments with Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff.
Right.
But really, at the end of the day, if you're just sitting there talking to him, you know how sometimes people walk into a room and they suck energy out of the room.
Yeah.
There are other people, Lee Corso is one of these guys, they go into a room and they kind of provide energy. That's the best way to describe Pat.
Yeah.
Pat walks into a room and he provides energy to the room. And I'm talking undefeated. Like, I've never seen him just kind of walk into a room, quiet, had a tough day, maybe at home. We all do that. I do that.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, the game day people feed off of his energy. He's completely made me reevaluate 29 years of my career. And, you get to a point, it's like, everyone I started with the show except Lee Corso is gone.
Right.
Behind the scenes, on the camera, behind the camera. I mean, other than Lee, a lot of people are gone. And so when I was at like 25, year 26, doing now Amazon, doing the Saturday night game, I love Game Day, but do I really want to keep doing it? And I love Reese and Dez and Coach. I love everybody, but it's tiring. And then, man, Pat's energy has really changed my view on that. And then you bring Nick Saban in. It's like, man, you couldn't pull me off of College Game Day right now. And a lot of that has to do with just the overall vibe of really that whole show. And we haven't even talked about Nick Saban.
It's funny because my next question to you was going to be, could you ever see yourself leaving Game Day? I have it written. I don't write questions. I just write like bullet point notes, and I have leave Game Day question mark. So I don't even have to ask you that question because it sounds like.
And I'll tell you this: when 3 years ago, when Amazon came to me and asked me to do the NFL, I wanted to align my contract with Amazon, which is a 5-year deal with ESPN, which I had like a year or two left, and they were gracious enough to kind of redo my deal, so I was able to align the Game Day and the Saturday night game with ESPN ABC with Amazon, so that they're kind of married now, is from a timing standpoint. So that'll allow me, when I get to a couple of years down the road, be able to kind of look at, okay, do I really want to keep doing all three of these? Because right now, as I sit here, I as much as I work and as much as it's, man, there's no way I can keep doing this. I don't know which one I would eliminate.
So you have a 5-year deal with Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh, I think every report out there said 3. I thought this.
Yeah, it's a 5-year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me switch gears here because
Al, I think, signed to 3. I had a 5. Yeah.
All right, let me switch gears here. You've mentioned a couple of times people saying things to go viral. I can't have you on here today and not ask you about a couple of things.
Yeah.
I saw last night Ryan Leaf, who I, to be honest, had no idea he had worked at ESPN, called you and McAfee the most overly sensitive people he's ever met, and called you both narcissists. What's your reaction to that?
I'd heard about that. Somebody told me about that, and I'm not trying to dodge this at all. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gonna be honest with you.
yeah.
I covered Ryan. I got to know him when he was chasing a Heisman Trophy years ago in '97, and then he went on to the NFL and had some issues. Obviously, it's pretty well documented off the field and some scary moments. I watched a documentary on him, and when he got into TV, I I tried to be helpful to him, and I tried to, if he ever asked me questions or he ever wanted to pick my brain about something, and from everything he always communicated to me, I think he appreciated. In fact, he stopped in the Rose Bowl one time with his son and was like just thanking me, for kind of being in his corner and kind of helping him. So that was, and I was happy to do that. Of course, I do that with anybody and everybody. So last year, when Lee Corso was kind of misunderstood about Washington State, Oregon State, I can't remember what he said, but he said something that was kind of misconstrued, that he was just kind of saying basically, screw those teams
Right.
because they're playing each other. And then later that night, like at midnight, or maybe later, I saw on social media, because I was flying back from whatever game I called, that Ryan had taken a shot at Corso, which of course, if there's one way to get me riled up, is take a shot at one of my teammates, especially an 88-year-old at the time, Lee Corso. So I thought we were friends. So I just said, hey man, what are you doing here? Like, why are you coming at us and Lee? Like, I thought we were always good. And then he came back at me even harder. And I was like, wow, maybe there's something going on that I didn't know about. And that was kind of, and then he was vocal a few other times on social media. And I don't know what I did or where things got sideways. And now he's out saying stuff again.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, in the history of my life, I'm 55. I've probably been sideways with somebody once or twice. It just doesn't happen very often with me. Kind of an introverted, quiet dude that just goes about my business and tries to help people. And so when someone does that, I really don't know how to respond to it. So I don't want to get caught up in a game of lashing back out on him. I don't know what he's referring to, but I honestly do wish him the best and hope he does. I don't know what he's doing on TV, but he does a good job, and I hope he keeps doing it.
Yeah. All right. Now you said you're an introverted guy, doesn't get mixed up in it, but you were a little animated last week during another podcast.
Yeah.
With the whole topic of should men be in women's sports. You responded to a tweet. That's a hot button topic. Everyone gets worked up about it. Yeah. I don't even want to get into that topic, but what I found, because what I found fascinating was you said you don't give a shit and you're out of shits to give.
Yeah.
Did you hear from ESPN about those comments?
Did not.
Now, there is this theory out there because obviously last week, Sam Ponder and RG3 were let go. People are trying to say ESPN anti-religious or they're anti-people speaking out against with the. Do you ever hear from ESPN on any of those issues? Does ESPN tell you what to tweet, what not to tweet? Do they let you do your thing? Let's go with that.
I'm glad you brought that up. I've been there. This will be my 29th year. I could say with 1,000% certainty, I've never in my life, never had a producer tell me what I need to say, or we're the SEC. We like the SEC. You need to fade. Never in my life. And if they did, I wouldn't know how to handle it. Early in my career, I'd be like, wow, you're telling me what to do? I didn't know that was part of the job. Never happened. Now, 29 years later, I've never had anybody say to me, be careful, or you better not say that, or never.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe other people that's happened with. I've never experienced that my entire career. And this stuff that happened last week, I got kind of caught up with. I was talking with Dan. I am an introverted guy, but when you push my buttons, you can light a fuse and get me to get kind of excited about things I'm passionate about. And I think the reason I said I don't give a shit is just I get so frustrated with the country and being so divided and not liking each other and not people just not getting along and people lashing out. And the college football community, people creating conspiracy theories that aren't true or people attacking me. Last year I had to make a pick on who I think is the top 4 teams. I don't really care who the top 4 teams are, but I watch a lot of football, probably more college football. It sounds like you watch a lot too, but I have 5 TVs up at noon. I have 5 TVs up at 3:30. I call a game at 7:30 at night. Within that game I'm calling, I've got 3 more TVs because, Fox or NBC or somebody's got big games on.
Right.
I'm calling a game. I'm watching 3 more. And then after that, on my flight home, I'm trying to watch the Pac-12 games late at night. So, I'm watching almost up to 15 games live, not go back and record them, but live. So at the end of 15 weeks of football, I feel like I'm entitled to give any opinion without being accused of being up to some shenanigans.
Right.
I just have an opinion. You can disagree with it, but please understand that there's no conspiracy theory. There's no agenda. Just disagree with me. That's totally fine. If I went with the way people are talking about it, I would just pick Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, Notre Dame. Like if you're just thinking that we care about ratings, just put those 4 teams in every year in the playoff. And that's not what this is at all. So I get tired of being a piñata. I get tired of being a punching bag. I have to bite my lip because it's hard to defend yourself when people are accusing you of something you didn't do. So you just kind of bite your lip. And I think that's probably what I was referring to as much as anything is you got to have thick skin, and I do. But everybody, probably you included, you get to a point when people misrepresent what you're doing or what you intended to do. Just kind of like, man, I'm over it. You know? That's probably what I was referring to.
I know you got to run. I don't even, if you don't want to touch this, you don't have to. But like, what happened with Dan Orlovsky this weekend really irritated me because he tweeted, "Protect our daughters." This was when the thought was that there was a transgender fighter in the Olympics. Then he deleted the tweet. So he tweets that, half the people are mad he tweets it. Then he deletes it, half the people are mad he deletes it. Then the other people think he deleted it because ESPN told him. Then other people think he deleted it because it came out that it wasn't a transgender boxer. She was born a woman. And Dan's like one of the nicest guys in the business. And he's getting all this shit from both sides. And it's like, you said it perfectly. The divide, there's a guy who got it literally from both sides. That's how. Yeah. And Dan, I don't know what your relationship is.
Dan's a great guy.
Nicest guy in the business.
Like whatever the case is. No one really knows except for Dan, like what his intentions were, why it was up, why it was down. All you can go by is Dan is a dad. He's a husband. He loves football. He's a great guy. He's going to say things, do things like all of us. None of us are perfect. None of us do everything exactly the way we always intended. Doesn't mean he's up to anything. It doesn't mean he's whatever it is that they're trying to paint him to be. He's a good person.
Like that guy's not the problem. Yeah, Dan Orlovsky is not the problem. That's plain and simple. And the same thing. So just to be clear, so when you tweeted about when you responded to that question about mention, no one from ESPN told you. No one got in touch. And when you went on that podcast, said you don't give a shit. No one from ESPN got in touch.
No, I didn't hear from anybody. And the other thing is, I wasn't referring to the boxer or any of that.
Right.
The question: should men be in sport? Women's sports? I just said no. That's it.
All right. I know you got to run. You're already doing prep for Bengals. So you have Bengals Colts week 2. Are you happy with the Amazon schedule? I always ask Al that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, have you looked at it this year?
Yeah.
I think we have 11 or 12 division rivals. I mean, think about how we start off. We got Buffalo at Miami. We got the Giants and the Cowboys. We got Aaron Rodgers' first home game. I mean, we got some really good games. We got the Bengals against the Ravens, where Joe got hurt last year. We got that game again out in Baltimore. I think we have Cincinnati and Cleveland in December. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. We've
Yeah,
got
it's a good
games
schedule.
that, again, you never know with injuries
Right.
how things shake
Right.
out. But as we sit here in August and you look at what you have, you're like, other than maybe two that you're just like, you never know. But the rest of them, you're like, let's go do it,
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty excited about what we got.
All right, and Amazon Thursday Night Football gets started in week 2 because NBC
Yeah.
carries that first game, and then
Yeah.
of course every single Saturday on ESPN you can see Kirk on the iconic College Game Day, and then the main Saturday game. And when do you leave for Ireland? Friday.
I'm leaving Friday. Yeah, I got to do this game, the Bengals Colts on Thursday night, preseason game.
Will
And
you
then
have time
Friday,
to at least get the Guinness in, or
I don't know. Maybe on the way out. On the way out.
on the
after
way
show.
out? I mean,
I'll
you
have to-
can't go to
after that.
Ireland
Have
and
you
not
been
have
there
a
before?
Guinness.
Have you been
I've
there?
not been to Ireland. No.
Yeah, yeah. I'll report back next time I'm
Yeah.
on with you. Let you know how it goes. But I'm going to be there like 10 hours. So
That's quick,
a long
in and out.
flight for 10 hours. Yeah.
Well, we'll be watching Game Day as always, and appreciate you coming on. Have a safe trip.
Anytime, man.
Enjoy the season. All right,
Yep,
thanks,
you
Kirk.
too, bud. Good luck to your Yanks.
Thank you. All right, joining me now, as he does every week from WFAN Radio, SNY TV in New York, for our Traina Thoughts segment, my buddy Sal Licata. Sal, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? You sound a little under the weather. You all right?
I had no voice. We were supposed to tape yesterday. I couldn't tape. No voice. I had no voice. And this is not great by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll start on a positive, happy news.
Yes.
After their first year in the books, Sunday Ticket listened to their customers, and now you can pick your games for multi-view up to 4 games on one screen.
It was the one thing that we all said. Like, it wasn't just you or I. Everybody said the same thing. It's the greatest thing ever, but they need to just let us control what the grid is going to show. Let us pick the 4 games for the multi-view. That's it. I mean, this is going to be now, it's perfect.
So what you can do is also, if you have 2 screens, like I have the 2 TVs, on one TV you could put 4, and on the other TV you could put 4 others. And then
I didn't think about that part of it because my setup is different this year. But yeah, that's a great part of it too. Where last year it was like, oh, I have to find a 4-game mix and then the right 3 or 4 game mix to get as many games as possible. Now you don't have to worry about that.
The ideal situation for me would be a 6-game mix. That would be ideal, because by like week 5, I'm eliminating team. Like by week 5, I'm never going to watch a Raider game. Like they're going to, so you just eliminate them. But I'll take the 4.
I still think, and I'm like you and have watched the multi games many times. I want to have every game on a screen, even though I'm not locked in. But I will say that at times it's just too much. And I don't think the majority of people like that. We're in the minority. Most people, if they could have a 4-game mix, you know what they do? 3 games and the red zone, or have a single TV on. I'm just telling you, that's how people are. Most people will probably prefer that.
I did not watch the red zone for 1 second last year.
I know, me neither, but I'm just telling you that so many people, I can understand the appeal because it does keep you up on all the other games if you don't have the screens available to watch all the other games.
I think most people just watch the red zone.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I have to figure out what I want to do because I'm in a tricky spot where I need to watch the Jets and Giants. I grew up a Falcon fan, so I don't mind having them on. But, I don't know if the red zone will be good for me, have 3 games and then the red zone just to keep an eye on everything. Or do I go 4 games and just eliminate 3 from my viewing?
Well, where are you at with your gambling? Are you going to be betting this season, or you're not going to be betting this season?
I mean, probably a little bit. Definitely not to the animalistic level that I've become accustomed to.
I'm going to save that clip right there to play throughout the season. Will you bet over-unders?
No.
No over-unders? No, I mean season totals.
No, I'm going to have I'm going to tell you this off the air. I'm going to do a special podcast for WFAN with 2 special guests where we're going to do over-unders. It ties into our history of watching over-unders, just to give you a little hint. But
I can figure one out. If I don't know if the other one.
Well, that'll be my juice in that regard. I don't like betting those because I don't think the odds are good. I feel like it's a bet. I did it last year. Jets and Giants got burnt. Every time I do it, I get burned. So many wrong things could happen. I'd rather just bet on a week-to-week basis, I think.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
I'm this.
Did you pick them, your over-unders yet?
Not yet. I know I'm going to bet the Jets over, and I think I'm going to bet the Broncos over.
What's the price on the Jets? I know it's 9.5. What's the VIG?
I don't know. I got to look.
All right, but then let's say we're talking minus 140. Like, is that? You may think it's worth it. I don't know. I'd rather just bet game-to-game basis.
I usually don't let the juice scare me away from a wager,
which is smart, but I just have a hard time. Those bets are not as easy. I'd rather alter the number and keep the odds even money or plus money than I would.
Is it smart? I mean, I don't know if it's smart.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe.
I find.
Because then,
good.
Well, I'm saying if you do, let's say you do 4 or 5 of them, or like Mike and Chris used to do, like you do 6, you hope to go 4-2, or you go 3-3, and you kind of wash. But if you do that and you lose the wrong ones with a VIG that's minus 150 or 160, now you're losing 2-1 almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think what people really should be doing now is, given that there are so many sites out there, is you should be shopping for the best price.
Yeah.
See, this pisses me off. I'm on DraftKings, I'm on futures, and it says champion to make the playoffs, conference winner, division winner, name the finalists, number 1 seed, wild card seed, exact result, champion specials. I see nothing here with team totals. And when I said there were no team totals on the site the last time, oh, here, wait, wins? Is this it, wins? Okay, here it is. It's under wins. All right, so the Jets, well, you could go over 9.5, and the juice is minus 130.
Okay.
That's not going to scare me from making that bet.
Yeah, I still don't like it, though, myself. Can you alter the win bet or the win total?
Well, that's the problem with DraftKings. You can make it 8.5, 9.5, 10.5. You have to do a half.
Right.
But my buddy Diesel told me FanDuel you could do any number. So I got to check. I got to get off of DraftKings and go to FanDuel, I think.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't picked one yet, but.
Right. I'll do 3 over-unders because I don't like to do an even number because the worst thing is to tie. I'd rather go 1-2 than 2-2. I need action. So I'll bet 3 of them, and I hope to go 2-1.
Okay.
And
you don't do like weekly. You don't do weekly pick'ems, or you're out of fantasy, right? You do any of that?
Right. No. Okay. I love a good underdog pool. The one where like you have to pick an underdog to win outright.
And you get points
and you get points. Yeah. I do like that pool, but I wasn't into one like that last year. And then I will be betting Florida State minus 10.5 this Saturday against Georgia Tech from Ireland.
Wow. That will starting up already this Saturday?
That will be the first dip into there's 3 games on Saturday.
Okay.
That game's at noon. Florida State, Georgia Tech. So locked in. What else do we got here? Did you see the trailer for the 2-part Sopranos docuseries on HBO in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I saw it on your Instagram last night, and I could not believe what I was watching. Yes, please. I cannot wait. I was like, oh, crap. Remember I told you last week I cut HBO?
Right.
Now, luckily, because I have YouTube TV, I just got an offer last night. I literally got an email last night saying, hey, 4 months free of HBO Max. Boom, sign me up, please. So can you explain what it is? It's like a behind-the-scenes David Chase.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really about David Chase creating the series.
I cannot wait.
It's 2 parts. The trailer looked amazing.
Yeah.
I thought.
I thought so too. I watched the whole thing based on your Instagram. I saw it and checked it out. I watched it twice, actually. They look to have some behind-the-scenes footage of The Sopranos and talking to people who are on the show. Is Tony Sirico passed away?
Yes.
Shoot. Yeah, I love
you know what? I'm 99.9% sure, and that makes me nervous, so I'm just going to confirm it. But
I think he is too, which is why I asked and not definitively said it. I'm pretty sure he is.
Oh, no, he's still... Oh, yeah, died in 2022. 2022.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to kill the guy.
Yeah, that sucks. But anyway,
And
and
that
that
looks
comes out
good.
September. When's that? September 7th.
It was like, something like that.
Okay.
I don't like when things come out during the football season. I wish it would have come out now.
Yeah, as long as it comes out before. You're right. Once it comes out in the midst of football season,
Right.
things can get lost here.
Right. Speaking of the college football season, I know you don't care about this, but I just have to say this, and it's going to sound mean, and I don't mean it to be mean because it was more of a revelation and a shock to me. So for the last, I think, 2 years, Chris Collinsworth's son, Jack Collinsworth, has called Notre Dame football. I know you're not locked into Notre Dame football.
No, but I know about that.
Right. And he called the games with Jason Garrett. To say it was a rough broadcast would be an understatement.
He wasn't good at play-by-play?
It's a bad broadcast.
Okay.
Bad. So now NBC booted Jack Collinsworth, and they put in Dan Hicks, who's a very solid play-by-play guy. So NBC released that news on Tuesday, and I just tweeted. I didn't offer any opinion. I just put out the news. I can honestly say in all of my years doing this, I have never seen an announcer get more hate than Jack Collinsworth. It took me my Twitter feed for 15 straight hours was nothing but people replying to me and ripping this guy to shreds, where I felt bad.
Is that the same Collinsworth that does the NBC Sunday night? Not Chris Collinsworth, obviously.
Yes, he does the pregame.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So he's still doing that, I'm assuming?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
And he's going to still call, I think he's calling some college football games for NBC because they have the Big Ten, but he's not going to be doing the Notre Dame.
Okay, well, I can't speak on it because I can't say that I've heard him do it.
But I feel bad. Like, it's really over the top, the hate that this poor guy was.
But here's the point. If he got hired to do that prestigious job without having the proper qualifications, and it sounds like, based on what you're saying, he didn't, then they put him in a spot to fail, which is not...
Right, that's on NBC.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Funny, this is crazy, but I literally just got a tweet from this guy, Michael Benevento, about FanDuel. He said, on last week's podcast, you nailed it with DraftKings versus FanDuel for betting apps. DraftKings has an easier, smoother interface to work with, but FanDuel lets you customize your bets much, much more. I use both depending on odds and what I'm looking to do. So keep that in mind.
Why wouldn't at this point everybody have like if you're betting, why do you have to be exclusive to one? Wouldn't you try them all out and see which bonuses you get or what odds you get?
I don't like that because it's too much for me. I just want one for my own anal OCD ways. Yeah.
I get you. You like to go old school, you pick up the phone and call the guy, but
when I first had a bookie when I was in college, I had to call and say, this is Michelob 17. That was my nickname. Michelob 17. Give me the Cowboys for $2 minus 5. Go to the bar every week to pay up.
I had it set like that up until, not exactly like that, but until last year.
I miss those days.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference when I had the bookie was that by 7:30 on, like, during the week, let's say for baseball or the NBA, you're done. Like, It was over. So, like, now with online, you bet the 7:30 games, then you bet the 10:30 games. Back then, it was like you got your bets in, and that was it.
Yeah, you bet the half, you bet live in game, all that stuff right there at your fingertips now, where it used to not be there.
The live is just so dangerous.
I know. I've fallen victim to it many times.
The live is dangerous. I'm glad I have discipline with that. I don't really dabble in that too often.
That's a key word there that I lack when it comes to gambling. Very simple. Discipline. I have none of it.
You're a fucking animal.
I can't help myself. I try to stay disciplined. I'm proud that I have not placed a wager since the Dolphins ruined me in Kansas City on that Saturday night, whatever it was, the playoff game. And I feel the storm brewing. Football's here. It's coming. I feel it. And even hearing you talk about it, or thinking about the bets and thinking about the setup, this is going to be the true test for me.
What's interesting about that is you are disciplined in like when you want to lose weight.
Yeah.
We've been out to eat so many times where you're like, I'm eating healthy, I'm not eating junk.
Yeah.
Your work ethic, you have a million jobs, like you're always working. Like that's the one area, like you're not a big drinker, you're not a drug guy. That is your area that seems to be your Achilles heel.
I've always said that is my one vice. You're right. Never done drugs, not a big drinker. I've been able, and now I've lacked discipline with eating, but when I need to and really want to, I can be very disciplined, as I have been. With gambling, I just can't do it. Even if I say to myself, all right, put in $100, whatever it is, and play with this. Put in $500. This is your allotment for the season. I'll start 25, 50. Then I start to get antsy, and I'm like, F it. Boom, all in on one bet, and that's it.
Yeah, you're someone who should not bet based on that.
I know, you're right. I haven't been able to figure it out.
You know, that would be a good feature for these websites to have. Like DraftKings or FanDuel should have an option where like you say my max bet is going to be $50. Do not ever let me bet more than 50. Like it could be a setting.
Right. But can't you change that? Like I saw that on Fanatics.
Yeah, of course you can change it.
There's one because they signed up and you get a significant bonus. But yeah, you could change it. So like I've actually had that happen with the last thing that I was dealing with. I said, no more. Like this is my max. Cut me off. And then of course, what do you think happens? Hey, just up me one more time. It's
what
bad.
What have you tried to quit more, gambling or Twitter?
I think I'm starting to not let Twitter dominate me the way that it has.
I would say that's fair because I haven't heard you complaining about it that much in recent months.
I'm just not on there anymore. Like I'll read, so I don't read the comments at all, which has just been healthy for me. The one thing about these sites, which could be good because I was dealing with a site that I had credit, which gets me in trouble. On these sites, it's no credit. Like you put in what you have. Now you could charge it, sure, but like that's it. That's different than when you get the credit where you can go nuts and really do damage.
So exactly 1 week. No, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. I got way too excited. Shit. All right. Exactly 2 weeks. Exactly 2 weeks from when this podcast comes out. Chiefs minus 2.5 against the Ravens in Kansas City. The total is 46.5. Do we have a lean yet?
No. I mean, I'm not touching the over-unders. I don't do that. I'd probably go Baltimore. Here's my problem. My other problem.
Wait. You don't ever bet an over-under in a game?
No, never. I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be rare. It's either got to be forced action, or because it's part of a teaser, or because it's part of a parlay. I'm not an over-under guy. I've never been good at it.
You're such a weird bettor.
Yeah, I just can't do the over-unders. It doesn't make sense to me. Over-under. I just don't get it. Anyway, I hate the first 4 weeks of the season. We've talked about this, and you disagree just because it's football that matters, but it's sloppy, crappy football that is essentially what preseason used to be. It's teams learning what they are and feeling themselves out and figuring it out for 4 weeks. So the bet it would just based on what? Like what I think is going to happen? There's no track record.
But if it's sloppy, then that's a good reason to bet the under 46.5. But you somehow have this no over-under policy, which is absurd.
Well, shouldn't the Chiefs and Ravens be scoring a lot of points?
Well, you just said that week one, teams are come out of the gate slow. They're a little sloppy.
Yeah.
I just think if there's a Monday night game or a Sunday night game, you don't like the side, you don't like the line, you don't dabble into the total, like it's just absurd to me.
No, because I just never can figure the total out. Like I also don't like rooting for either points to be scored or not points. Definitely not an under. I don't like rooting for an under. But I remember even with that.
One of the best betting days I had last season was at your house. It was a Steelers Jaguars under. I was rooting for that, and I had the Jet Giant under. You must have hated my presence there. I was rooting for that under.
No, you're allowed to do whatever you want. You can gamble as you like that. For me, I can't do that.
All right. Before we wrap up, I'll leave you with this question. J-Lo, Ben Affleck, any thoughts?
What happened? They break up?
Divorce.
Oh. It's over again?
How do you not know this?
I knew that they were. When did this happen? Recently?
Well, it became official last night.
I knew it was heading in that direction. I mean, when are they going to learn? It's just not going to work, you know?
How did you not see this anywhere? You really aren't checking Twitter, I guess.
No, I didn't see it. But when you said it, it made me think, because I did see some probably meme or joke about, Ben and Jen in 30 years or whatever, and I didn't put the two and two, together.
Were you locked into the Democratic National Convention, and that's why you didn't?
Oh yeah, I was really last night. It was so I'm a little tired today. I was up all night watching that. I don't even know what that is, let alone where it is.
Here's a good question. All right, you know the two people running for president.
Let me just confirm: it is Trump and Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea who their vice presidential selections are?
No, I couldn't name them. I think I know who the Republican. Oh, something Vance for the Republican.
J.D. Vance, correct.
Okay. I have no shot at the Democrat.
I'm not going to tell you. I just wanted to see. If
I have seen is it accurate that Biden is speaking at these things or no?
He spoke on Tuesday night.
Okay.
All right. Just wanted to. But Jen, you didn't know about J-Lo and Ben.
No, that's disappointing to me.
You think A-Rod's happy today?
I personally would probably take some solace in that myself, as petty as it may seem.
A-Rod has to be doing a victory lap. I mean, they broke up and she ran right to Ben Affleck. I mean, it was a little much.
Trying to look for that, comfort in something familiar.
Yeah. It's a good thing we're at the end here. I think my voice is going again.
All right.
Do you hear it?
Yeah, a little bit.
You should have heard it yesterday.
Just drink water. You'll be fine.
Do you know how much water I have done nothing but drink water and tea for 2 days straight.
Yeah, a little tea and honey. You'll be all right. Are you feeling ill?
I feel fine.
Okay. Are you coming over this weekend, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Is that the 24th? Is that Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
As long as I can
Saturday.
watch the Florida State Georgia Tech game, that I'm going to have minus 10.5.
What time is that game?
Noon.
Oh, we may have to do some family wagers because, as you know.
What time am I coming over that day? I don't even know.
We could just. I mean, you could come noon. You could come 1. Whatever you think.
No. I mean, whenever you want me there.
I would say around then. But if you want to get there for the game, we could have. Eddie Erickson will be there, who is also, maybe want to.
I don't like to do. No, I like to just bet my own things. I don't like to get involved with other people.
Come on, you're no fun. It's a family bet. We're all going to be watching the game together.
We've long established on this podcast, I'm not fun. No, I'm just telling you this. I'm going to bet Florida State minus 10.5 against Georgia Tech. You guys want to bet that? That's fine. But I'm not betting stuff because you're betting it. I have no interest.
All right, but then let me just play. What if Eddie's like, "Well, I love Georgia Tech in this game."
Then let him bet Georgia Tech. What do I care?
And then we got to go head to head with each other. I mean, it's
fine with me.
You're right. You are no fun. All right.
Exactly. And then SMU minus 25 against Nevada at 8:00 at night. I gotta see what we're gonna do on that one.
All right.
I don't want to be involved in other people's bets. I don't like that. I don't want to be responsible. Someone sent me a message on Instagram. I don't know why I respond to this, but someone sent me a message on Instagram the other day saying that they were. This is the message I got. This was Friday. Hi, Jimmy. Making the drive from North Jersey to the Hamptons. Need an easy on, easy off the LIE pizza recommendation before exit 50, preferably. What would you say? So I'm like, I'm not answering this because I don't want to be responsible for giving a bad record. Then he goes there, the pizza's a problem, and then I'm to blame. Then I'm like, listen, the guy sent me a message on Instagram. He must listen to the podcast. I want to take care of the podcast listeners. I don't want to be a dick. So I wrote back and gave him a recommendation. And he wrote back, said, very solid. Seems their specialty is the grandma pie, and it was a hit. Thanks. So it worked out.
What'd you give him?
I gave him Umberto's in New Hyde Park.
Okay.
But I don't want to be responsible if, God forbid, there's a shitty slice and then it's on me.
He asked. You delivered. He asked. It's not your problem. You think it's great, but what's great for you might not be great for somebody else.
And that's just like the wager. Just because Eddie Erickson likes Georgia Tech doesn't mean I'm going to bet it.
No, I know, but that's the point of the camaraderie. We want to bet together like Dog used to do.
I don't need camaraderie.
I can't tell you how many times Dog used to, in our ear during their show with Mike and Chris, Dog would be talking in the talk back to us in the control room. Oh, that's a bad bet. That's a bad play right there. And Mike, one time he got distracted. I was like, what are you two talking about there? And Dog on the air got chastised by Mike. He's like, will you pay attention to the show? You guys worry about your stupid bet.
I'm shocked Dog was the one who left after 19 years together.
Well, Dog was not paying attention. He was in the wrong. How about Dog the other day saying that, oh, yeah, Mike's one of those guys who gets mad at losing a bet. Yeah. Who doesn't, Dog?
I know. Well, I think Dog figures Mike has the money, so what's the big deal? But again, I could lose a $20 bet and I'm livid. It's about the action.
Right, and about being right or wrong and what you think. Dog took great joy in our misery. He would love, even though he lost, he loved taking us down with the ship and that we lose money that we didn't have.
Yeah, that's his MO. He loves that. He was on First Take all week saying he was rooting against the USA men's basketball team in the gold medal game because he wants everyone to be miserable. I can relate to that. All right, I'm going to start coughing like a maniac, so I got to get off this.
All right, good.
Sal, we'll see you next week. I'll see you this weekend. But all right, take it easy. All right, bye. My many, many thanks to Kirk Herbstreit. My thanks to Sal Licata. My thanks to you for listening and putting up with my voice. Hopefully I'm at 100% next week. If you missed any recent episodes, go into the archives, check them out. Chris Mad Dog Russo, outstanding podcast episode last week. Give it a listen if you have not. Subscribe to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. Leave a review on Apple. We'll read reviews next week with Sal. All right, that wraps it up. We'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care.